It was supposed to be a proud night. A black CEO who had built his company from the ground up walked into the corporate headquarters where a vital board meeting was taking place. But instead of being greeted with respect, he was stopped at the entrance by the very people who were supposed to work for him. They told him to wait outside, their tone cold, dismissive, and dripping with prejudice. He stood there, silent, watching the seconds tick by. What none of them realized was that their decision in those few minutes would change everything. The question was, who truly held the power in that building? Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. David Mitchell was no ordinary man. Born in a small town, raised by a single mother, he had faced obstacles at every turn. Poverty, doubt, and the constant reminder that people like him were expected to settle for less. But he never did. Years of hard work and determination had led him to become the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech company. To outsiders, he was the embodiment of success. Sharp suits, polished speeches, and a reputation for innovation. Yet, even with all his accomplishments, David knew one thing never truly changed: the way some people looked at him. On this particular evening, he arrived at the headquarters for a crucial strategy meeting. His car pulled up, sleek and shining, the company's logo boldly displayed on the building he had helped design. He stepped out with confidence, expecting to be welcomed as the leader he was. Instead, he was greeted with suspicion, as if his very presence at his own company was an intrusion. The lobby was filled with whispers, sidelong glances, and a sense of unease. David approached the reception desk, where two employees, both part of middle management, looked him up and down. One of them narrowed his eyes. "Sir, this is a private event," the man said firmly, not recognizing, or perhaps not wanting to recognize, the CEO standing before him. David calmly gave his name, expecting the situation to resolve quickly, but instead of apologizing, they exchanged smirks. "You'll need to wait outside until we confirm," the other added, motioning toward the door as if he were some outsider trying to sneak in. For a moment, David stood frozen. He had walked through that lobby countless times. His portrait hung in the hallway upstairs. Every paycheck they received carried his signature of approval. Yet here he was, treated like a stranger, or worse, like someone who didn't belong. He stepped outside into the cold night air. 5 minutes passed. His mind raced with a familiar sting. This wasn't the first time the color of his skin had judged him, but it cut deeper now. This was his company, his empire, and still, he was being reduced to nothing. Inside, the board meeting had already begun without him. Laughter spilled into the lobby, along with the sound of glasses clinking. To them, his absence didn't matter. But they had no idea. David was watching, waiting, and preparing to make a decision that would shake the very foundation of their careers. When David finally walked back inside, he didn't wait for permission. He pushed the doors open and entered the boardroom. Silence fell instantly. The executives stared, their smug confidence evaporating the moment they realized who he was. The same managers who had dismissed him at the entrance now sat frozen in their seats, faces pale. David scanned the room slowly, his presence heavy, commanding. He didn't need to raise his voice. The shame on their faces said enough. 5 minutes earlier, they had treated him like an outsider. Now they were about to learn the price of their prejudice. Without hesitation, he announced the immediate termination of those responsible, his tone sharp and unyielding. Gasps echoed across the room. Careers that had taken years to build crumbled in seconds. In that moment, David didn't just reclaim his dignity, he reminded everyone who truly held the power. The firing sent shockwaves through the company. News of the incident spread quickly, not just among employees but across the industry. Some viewed it as ruthless, while others considered it justified. Still, all recognized the more profound truth. It was a stand against a culture of prejudice that had gone unchecked for too long. For David, it wasn't about revenge. It was about principle. He had worked too hard, sacrificed too much to let anyone reduce him to stereotypes. That night, he didn't just fire managers, he fired a mindset. Yet the question remained, How many others, in offices, schools, and neighborhoods across the world, were still being told to wait outside? How many more times would bias overshadow success? David walked out of that boardroom taller than ever, not because he was a CEO, but because he had proven a point. Power means nothing if it doesn't challenge injustice. Which country and city are you watching from? Take care.